there may be some people that are listening to this saying, well, all they're talking about is sports and football, and they're not talking about the academic component of the school. But so Dr. Loftin, talk to us about the balance between academics and athletics at a big public institution like A&M. Like, because I think, my view is, I was talking to Coach Sherrill about this, and he was like, who's the president of Nebraska? Who's the president of Florida? You don't know who they are. He goes, the only reason you know that president of A&M is because you're an Aggie, but I'll bet you know the football coaches of those schools. And so his point was that football, primarily football, but some of the other sports bring so much publicity and money and things like that to the school that it has knockoff effects that are good for the academics. And so that's where I've always kind of come down on it. But talk about your view about balancing the academics with the athletics as it relates to the SEC move.
It's a huge part of your job in a place like this. I was a president who paid attention to athletics, and everybody does. Okay, yep. I did. And I did so for good reason. I didn't want to have things go wrong. I mean, what you just said is true, but the other thing can happen. You can have bad things happen in athletics, which bring you down too.
Yeah.
You can have scandals of various kinds. You can have a lot of problems that occur there that are, because they occur in athletics, they're more visible. The same thing can happen for an ordinary student.
Yeah, good point.
And guess what happens? The press picks up only one of those, not the other one. So you got to recognize you've got a lot of negative potential too. So I paid attention to that activity in athletics very much so because of that reputational thing, also because of money. It's a big part of your budget too. You got to worry about that as well. But you brought up a really good point here. I think it's very reasonable to balance those things. Now, there are some sports where you recruit student athletes who are top notch. If you look at your baseball team, your softball team, your soccer team, you're going to find kids good grades, doing very well, and the scholarships they get in those sports are helping them get their education done. It's a very wonderful thing for them. If you look at football and men's basketball, women's basketball, sometimes people ask questions about that.
Yeah.
One of the things I had to do here was to grant waivers to athletics to admit students who would not meet even the minimum criteria at Texas A&M for admission. That was something I had to do every year. And I did that with a great deal of care and thought because I said, why should I do this? And I realized that because of our size and our visibility and our conference affiliation, we had extraordinary resources to devote to those young men and women who might come here with less than the best preparation, but we gave them extra to be able to help them be successful here at A&M.
Yeah.
It was a matter of a lack of integrity. It was not cheating at all. It was giving them a lot of assistance to overcome what they had brought with them here in terms of lacks.
And I can tell you, Dr. Loftin, I can give you a firsthand perspective of this. Okay, I know exactly what you were talking about. By the way, I was a columnist for the Battalion for 2 years when I was at A&M, and I wrote an article about. There was a professor from Rice who basically wrote something about how we were emphasizing not us, just A&M, but colleges in general, emphasizing academics too much. And I wrote an article, I guess, almost 30 years ago, talking about how athletes and athletics adds a lot to the college experience. But from a firsthand perspective, I didn't study much in high school because I didn't need to. And I showed up to A&M, and thank God I was on the basketball team because we had study hall for 2 hours a night, Sunday through Thursday, with the assistant coaches watching us. We had access to tutors. I can tell you for an absolute 100% sure fact that there were players on the team that I played with that probably would not have gotten in had they not been basketball players. Every single one of those guys, to a man, graduated and is successful. And so, I think sometimes we get caught up a little bit in the objective, the grade point average and the SAT and stuff like that. And we forget about the fact that just because somebody, like you're saying, didn't have the best preparation when they were in high school. I mean, my kids right now have tutors. I can afford to get them tutors anytime they want. They go to a very competitive, wealthy school, public school in Houston. Most kids don't have that opportunity. And so I guess the question I would ask is, are we gonna cut off good kids that have a lot of potential just because they happen to be athletes and maybe haven't had the best preparation. So I'm 110% with you on this, Dr. Lofton.
Well, it's something you really care about. I can't say every school does that, but we have the resources. I mean, the Power Five conferences have the resources to be
Yeah.
able to devote to students who come with less preparation than they really should have and help them be successful here. Now, not every student athlete graduates. Most do,
Yeah.
but some don't. If you ever watched me at graduation, I had something I did very special, in my opinion. I would have each student athlete who was graduating and walking across the stage for diploma, have them checked on the list of the names being read. I would tell the reader, I'd say, look, when this person shows up, take 2 or 3 more seconds before you read the next name. I was doing 17 a minute. I graduated over 65,000 students personally here at Texas A&M. Okay. Shook every hand, bumped every fist, had hugged whatever I had to do. Okay, I did it. But my point is that I had the reader pause and slow down for every student athlete. And I would talk to them face to face. I would say, look, thank you for being a student at Texas A&M, and thank you for being an athlete at Texas A&M. You brought great honor to our school here. Nice. I know you were doing 2 full-time jobs.
Absolutely. And we talked, Coach Sharon and I talked about this too. I mean, people do not realize, and I had this experience for a short period of time, but when you're a college athlete, like you just said, it is 2 full-time jobs. People do not understand how hard these men and women work. I mean, they have almost no free time. Plus they got to make their grades. Plus they got to train. Plus they got to sleep. And eventually they got to have some free time. So it is a massive commitment. And I have, obviously I'm a little bit biased about this, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for athletes who perform at a high level and also graduate.
Exactly right. I fully agree with you. And that's what made it possible for me to sort of let these people in who wouldn't get any other way. They got here because of their skill sets as a student athlete. They graduated, though, because of their skill set as a student and an athlete. And that was important to me to have them graduate here. A handful, I know personally, didn't graduate, and that was a shame. The pros get in our way sometimes.
Sure.
The NBA especially can be a problem because of how low they can go down the ladder here to get a student to come to the NBA.
Yep.
And if we had a better circumstance there, that would really enhance their sort of motivation to stay in school until they got a degree. But we have many more who graduate before they're done with their 4th year, and they're a 5th year student then here. But we have many like that. If they redshirt earlier on, they can get a master's degree. Yep. A lot of our people walk the stage here with a master's degree who played athletics here. Think about that.
That's awesome.
That done. They got that done because they had a scholarship here. They got it done because they worked hard. And we owe them that particular opportunity if we can give it to them to not only get a degree, but get 2 degrees while they're